Let's now do the high-level overview of how this assignment will work. Let's first just do it assuming you're just going to make your Mario and Luigi's move back and forth. And by the way, if I say Mario and Luigi, you understand it doesn't have to be Mario and Luigi. It can be whatever you implement in your game. In fact, if you want to do turtle and lettuce, I'm cool with that. Okay? So right now I'm going to put server up here, and I'm going to put client number 1 and client number 2. Okay. And remember, the clients can only call the server's just going to sit there. And they're all connected through the cloud to the server. And I'm not going to draw a new cloud. That circle is the cloud. Okay. Well, let me ask you, how would you do it? Remember, you've got a Mario and a Luigi on each of your clients. So somewhere in there, there's going to have to be a model. Let's put in it, how about mx equals 100, my equals 100, Luigi x equals 200, and Luigi y equals 100. Sound good for your starting positions? Okay, so you initialize your model with these values. In fact, why not? Let's just tell the server about that too, so now everybody's on the same page. At this moment, it's all just hard-coded. Everybody has a model with the same values in it. Okay, the first thing that's going to happen is one of the clients will contact the server. And who knows which one it'll be. In fact, let's get rid of these numbers. Maybe they try to contact the server at the exact same moment. It'll be almost the same moment, right? And one of them will contact the server first. Which client should it be? Let's do the one on the right just to shake things up. Okay. Now, somewhere inside of the server, let's say the server also knows how many clients it has connected to it. So far, that number is 0. I'll call that client count. Sound good? Okay. So client number 1 contacts the server and says, what should client number 1 say? He'll say, I'm new. Give who am I? And we'll do green for messages. So client makes a package that says this, and you don't have to write that in a string, right? How can you encode a message in your object?
As a number?
Yeah, just do a number. Like, for example, here's page.html. How about secret meaning equals 2. And I just happen to know 2 is the way that I encoded, I'm new, who am I? So whenever the server receives a number 2, it knows that's what the client is trying to express to it, right? You can express anything you want encoded in a number, right? And maybe the number 3 means don't look now. Never mind. I was gonna make a bad joke, but okay. So the client sends this to the server, and it doesn't really say I'm new, who am I? It's really the number 2, which means that. And by the way, don't use the number 2. I just pulled that out of nowhere. It can be any number you want. And when the server receives this, what's it going to do? Well, do you want the first one to be Mario and the second one to be Luigi? Okay, so now the server will say, oh look, my client counter is 0, so you must be the first client to ever connect to me. So your ID is going to be a 0. So the server will make a message that says, you are 0. And while we're at it, the server should then increment this number because now we have 1 client that has connected to it. And this message will go through the internet and arrive at the client, and the client will say, oh, I'm a 0. And so now the client will store somewhere in its head something like this, my ID equals 0. Okay? Well, client number 2 contacts the server and says, I'm new, give me ID. Is that the message? I forgot how I worded it. But he'll send the number 2 to the server as well. And when the server receives this message, the server will say, oh, you must be client number 1. So we'll say, now I have 2 clients that have connected to me. And the server will then say to the client, you are number 2. Nope, you're number 1, because we're doing 0 indexed, right? And the server will send this back down to the client, and now this client will receive that message, and we'll say, my ID equals 1. You with me? Okay. Let's suppose the client decides to be tricky and say to the server, I'm new, give me ID, and sends it to the server again. What will happen? The server will increment its client count and think I have 3 clients attached to me now, and will send it a brand new ID. How do you stop that from happening? You just don't send that message to the server again, right? The server should not give you an ID unless you sent the message to it saying, I'm new, give me an ID. Okay, well now, time happens and the clients need to send a new message to the server. This new message will be, what's new? What is the point of this message? It's an update, yeah. Basically, the server has no way of calling the clients. Only the clients can call the server. So if this other guy over here moves his Mario, or his Luigi, and I move my Mario, how's the other one gonna know? They're not, unless they contact the server and ask, what's new? So inside of my update method, I'm going to basically contact the server saying, what's new, what's new, what's new, what's new, what's new? And the server will keep responding, nothing, go away. Nothing go away, 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 until that fateful moment when client number 1 pushes the right arrow key. That represents that client number 1 pushed the right arrow key, and when he did, Mario X changed from, wait, is this Mario or Luigi?
That's Luigi.
This one's Luigi? Okay. Just so I can remember that, I'm going to write that down right here. That's Luigi. And this is Mario. Okay, so if client number 1 pushed on the right arrow, then what should happen? Well, Luigi X should change from 200 to 210. Now this client already has seen Luigi move, right? But the moment when Luigi moved, what should he do? He should also send a message to the server that says Luigi or LX equals 210 or something like that. You don't have to encode it in exactly those words. You can use whatever encoding you want, but I'm going to send this message up to the server. What should the server do when it receives this message? Should it increment its client count and respond with the ID? No, that would be useless. What it should do is it should say, oh, hey, I have a new Luigi X that just came from Luigi, so that's valid. Let's update this now to be 210. Okay, well, when client number 1 asks the server, what's new, what's view, what should the server do? It should reply nothing. Nothing's new. Because this client already knows Luigi's X, and that's the only thing that's changed. But when this client calls up and says, hey, what's new? The server should reply, hey, you, Luigi X equals 210. And that message should come back down to this client. And when this client receives that message, it should say, oh, that's new information. So it's going to update Luigi X to be 210. And you see what has just happened? The guy on the left moved, and both models see the change because now they have all the information that has occurred. Okay, at a high level, did you follow that? Good deal. Now let's do it at the implementation level because sometimes high level isn't enough. Cool? Okay, so let's go down to our code. I'm going to close this thing and stop my program, remove my class files, clear again. Okay, we're back to ground zero. This is just the thing I had downloaded from the web. Yeah?
I was going to ask you, is the server kind of like a messenger between the two then?
Yeah. Think of the server as as the guy that tends your inbox or something like that. You know, that's a bad example. You know how in upstairs behind the glass doors there's these faculty boxes? There's a box for every faculty member. I don't know if you're aware of that. Well, there's a secretary in that office who stuffs messages in our boxes. And think of it like this. You give a message to the secretary and he goes and sticks it in my box. I go visit my box. Oh, there's a message for me. I take it out of the box. And you see how we have communicated even though we never actually saw each other? It's like that. Yeah, it's kind of like if some random person in this class wanted to send a message to some other random person in this class, they could leave it with me. And then next time I see that person, I could give it to them. Or rather, I'd sit around and not give it to them because I'm passive. I'd wait till they came to me and said, do you have any messages for me? And I'd say, oh, here's one. It'd be like that. Okay. Now, there's this page.html file here. That's that web page, right? But you don't actually have to use that. Let's delete it. In fact, no, let's instead copy A7 turtle.html. Okay, I've just copied my assignment 7 down into this folder. And you can just take your assignment 7, which you've already done, and that's going to be the lion's share of any work in making a video game here. Then I'm going to open main.java, and instead of loading page.html, I'm going to load, what was it called? Turtle.html. Okay. All I'm doing is pointing the browser to turtle.html instead of page.html. Nope. Main. And now when I run it, it's my turtle game instead, except it doesn't work. Why not?
Because you didn't upload the picture.
Yep. I don't have any pictures here. Except there is turtle.png here.
You have to add something in your HTML.
Nope. Basically, you can stick any web page you want right here, and it should just work. And yeah, you can take your full Mario implementation, and you should just see both. It should pop up 2 browser tabs, and both of them should have Mario running in them. So all you've got to do for this assignment is add a Luigi to it, and then you've got a multiplayer game. Okay?
Question.
Yeah.
Do we need to create one more extra HTML?
I'm sorry?
Do we need to have one more HTML? In this case, we have total.html, page.html, and the third one, Luigi.html.
Ah.
So we can have
Do you need 2 HTML pages? I'm going to say no. Here's why. Both clients should be playing the very same game. And the game should have 2 different characters in it. So how do you know which one you're controlling?
An ID.
Yeah, you remember that ID thing we exchanged? The whole point of that was so that when you press the arrow keys, you can have an if statement in there that says, if I am 0, move Mario, else if I am 1, move Luigi. And so that if statement in your controller is going to be what enables you to control the game. So depending on what your ID is, you'll control a different character. Now, if you press the arrow key before you get an ID, what should happen? Probably nothing. You should probably say, hey, get your fingers off those arrow keys. I don't have an ID yet. Or something like that. Is it called celery, lettuce, cabbage? Wasn't it? Nope. See how my web page, notice that URL is talking to my server right there, and it served this silly turtle game. Okay, you could make it serve your entire Project 7, and that should work just fine. By the way, web browsers sometimes have caches. Do you know what caches are? It stores old copies of things, and that might cause a few problems. To make sure your cache is cleared, if you hold down the Shift key and press F5 or this refresh button, that will cause it to contact the server and load it all again.
Yeah, because sometimes it doesn't work the first time.
Yeah, it might not work the very first time. And just to show that, notice that every time I press refresh, see stuff happens over here in my console. That's because the web browser was contacting the server again saying, hey, give me this page, and it was sending the whole page right back to the server.